What's going on, guys? My name is Lars, and real quick disclaimer before this video begins. I'm updating my Pendulum Magician deck profile. That's what this video is about. And the reason I'm doing that is because the video that I did put out for my Pendulum Magician ENDYMION deck profile came about a day or two before the ban list dropped. So this is just an updated deck profile for you guys to check out. I promise I won't be putting up any more Pendulum Magician deck profiles here, at least not until anything else comes out that's new. So there is a few new cards that are in here as well, but I'll be going over them through the deck profile. So yeah, guys, enjoy the video. Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Lars, and today I'm going to be giving you guys an updated deck profile for my Pendulum Magician ENDYMION deck for Master Rule 5 here, April 2020. Now, I'm just bringing this is going to be about a 10-minute video roughly, but I'm just going over the deck that I'm going to be using because I did put out a deck profile before, but that was right before the ban list dropped. And also, this is going to be my primary deck I'm going to be using in the Crush Card Cup here, or CMO's Crush Card Cup online. So I just wanted to give anybody who is interested an updated profile for you guys to check out, and that way, you know, if you're interested in playing this deck, please try it out for yourself, and then obviously make adjustments accordingly to whatever fits your play style. But guys, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider giving the video a like and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Starting off with 3 copies of Mighty Master, being able to remove 6 spell counters from anywhere on the field, to be able to pop cards your opponent controls up to the number of cards that you control that can have spell counters on it. While he's on the field as a monster, you can negate spells and trap cards by bouncing a card back to the hand that has a spell counter. That can include himself, and if he is destroyed by battle, you can add 1 normal spell from the deck to the hand. Next up, we have 3 copies of Reflection of ENDYMION. Reflection is really powerful, being able to bounce your opponent's cards back to their hand. So when it's summoned from the scale, you can special summon a monster from your hand that can have a spell counter on it, and then you can bounce 1 card you control that has a spell counter on it and 1 card your opponent controls back to the hand. You can summon these in multiples. It does say you can only summon it once per turn, but you can summon it in multiples if you have multiples. So like if you pendulum summon it, you can use its effect twice. So it's really, really powerful. Also, if it's destroyed by battle, you can add 1 ENDYMION card from the deck to the hand. Next up, the best card of the deck, Servant of ENDYMION, to be able to special summon a monster from the deck that can have spell counters on it to your side of the field by removing 3 spell counters from her. I wish it's a crime this card is not at 3. It needs to be. But her monster effect, you can only special summon her once per turn, just like Reflection. But once per opponent's turn, you can discard 1 card and place 1 spell counter on each card you control that can place a spell counter on. And also, if this card is destroyed, you can place this card in the Pendulum Zone, then place the same number of spell counters on it that it had as a monster. So it's obviously incredibly powerful. It's limited for a reason. Just a really solid card. Next, 1 copy of Magister. I was running this at 2 before. It's a really good card, but yeah, I don't really see the need of having more than 1. But again, it's up for experimentation. But its effect being able to remove 3 spell counters from it if it's in scale, to be able to special summon a monster from the extra deck that can hold spell counters on it. It's really powerful, but it's just when I'm going, you know, you run through your deck a lot and very quickly, so it's really not needed at more than 1. I don't think personally. But yeah, it's monster effect. It's another one of those cards you can only special summon 1 of these once per turn. But when it declares an attack, you can place 1 spell counter on it, and then once per opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can remove 3 spell counters from your field and special summon a monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on. So it's kind of a mirror image of Servant. It is a really powerful effect, and it can come up. It's just a really all-around solid card, but I just don't see it needing it at more than 1. But yeah, if it's also in the monster card zone and it is destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum Zone, then place the same number of spell counters on it that it has a monster. Really good card. Next, we run 3 copies of Magical Abductor. Abductor is really good. I know a lot of people don't like this card, but this card is really powerful. While it's in the Pendulum scale, you can remove 3 spell counters from her and being able to add a Pendulum monster from the deck to the hand. I mean, there's what's not to like there. She's on the field. Each time a spell card is activated, you can place a spell counter on her, and she gets 100 attack for each spell counter on her. So she can become pretty big. But yeah, no, just a really good card to accrue spell counters, and just the searching. It's just a really powerful effect. You really don't want to go without the 3 of these. Next, we have 2 copies of Jackal King. Jackal King being your monster negation. This is going to prevent your opponent from Nibiruing, you know, and wiping you out with a big rock. So A definite staple 2 of here. We used to run the Master Cerberus in here as well, but we're not doing that anymore. I just found the consistency of this build to be a little bit better without him. You just don't need it, but it's worth experimenting with the whole engine if you'd like. But I personally just like having Jackal King. He's just a really good card. He's really easy to get out of the deck or from your hand. It really doesn't matter. He's just a solid card all the way around. You don't need more than 2 though, because it can get a little cloggy, and his scale is not the best, but he's just a really all-around solid card. So definite 2 of. Next, we run 3 copies of Chronograph Sorcerer, and then the 1 of Timegazer Magician here. This is just your standard package. Chronograph, able to summon the Timegazer out of the deck and either put it in scale or special summon it as a monster. And Chronograph has a really powerful in-hand effect. That when a card is destroyed, you can special summon him and another monster from your hand to your side of the field. Obviously, he's a scale 8, which is really nice. You know, good high scale, because most of our monsters, even the high level ones, are level 7. But yeah, definitely can't go without this package. Next up, we play 2 copies of Harmonizing Magician. Harmonizing is the lifeblood of the Pendulum Magician deck, in my opinion. But yeah, she has a really good effect. I mean, her pendulum effect is pretty good. Or pendulum scale effect. All monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each face-up Magician pendulum monster with different names in your extra deck. So that's pretty nice. She's got a good high scale. Also, she can't be special summoned from the extra deck, but that's not really a big deal. This part of the reason you run just 2 of these is because you really only need to get this effect off once. But yeah, she cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, or exceed summon unless all the other materials are Magician pendulum monsters, which is not a big deal because her other effect here is when she is pendulum summoned from the hand, she can special summon a Magician pendulum monster from the deck in defense position, except for herself, and its effects are negated, and also you banish it when that Magician leaves the field. She's just really good. This is how you're going to get out your Borreload Savage. You can also use her to go into something like Abyss Dweller. Just a really solid card. Definitely 2 of in the deck. You don't need more than that. 3's a little cloggy. You just don't need it. But yeah, really powerful card. Next, 1 copy of Purple Poison. Purple Poison's really good. Its scale effect is once per turn, if a Dark Spellcaster type monster battles before damage calculation, you can have that monster gain 1200 attack, and then you destroy this card. And so on field effect, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 face-up card on the field and destroy it. Just a really solid card all the way around. Easily get this out with Harmonizing. Next, Black Fang. Black Fang, again, these are all pretty standard cards in the Pendulum Magician build, but yeah, once per turn you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and its attack becomes half its current attack, and then you destroy this card. Its monster effect, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 Dark Spellcaster type monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So again, really solid, really good body for a level 4. Easily, again, summonable out with Harmonizing. Next one, Dragon Caller Magician. This one's really important because it is level 7, so you can go into Odd Eyes, and then you can get out Vortex Dragon. So this is really good to go with Reflection or Mighty Master to be able to overlay and exceed summon the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. But the body's really good, and it's level 7, which is important, and it's easily, you're easily able to summon this out with Harmonizing and then exceed summon with it, with Reflection or Mighty Master. And then one of my favorites here, Performer Pal Celestial. Celestial is really good. It's both its effects. It's a scale 8 when exactly 1 face-up fusion, synchro, or exceed monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can special summon that destroyed monster, then destroy this card. So it's just a good revival effect. While it's in the pendulum scale, which does come up. It's just a really powerful one-up here in the deck. And again, it's also summonable by Harmonizing. And then its monster effect during your main phase. If this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can apply the following effects for the rest of the turn based on the other monsters you currently control. Fusion, this card can attack directly. Synchro, your opponent cannot activate monster effects. Exceeds, this card's attack becomes double its original attack. Pendulum, during the end phase, add 1 pendulum monster from the deck to the hand. So it's a really powerful card. It's definitely a good solid one-of here in the deck. You don't need more than that, but other than that, it's just a really powerful card. Next, we're going to start with the spellbook engine here. So we have 1 copy of Blue Boy, 1 copy of Secrets, and 1 copy of Knowledge. This ratio is correct. I mean, you can run more. I just think you're gonna clog up your hand more than anything else. I mean, if you don't need to go into Crowley because you have one of these in hand, that's fine. I just think the one of here in the deck is perfect because it provides the draw power and the spell counters that you need, and in some instances it provides the extra body on board with Blue Boy. So it's just a really solid engine. I think at 1 you can run more. I wouldn't recommend it personally. I have great success with this card, or with this engine, just as 1-ofs for sure. 3 copies of Spell Power Mastery. This is pretty standard here for Endymion builds. The best, it's just a good search card. It sucks that it's a hard once per turn, but yeah, you're able to add an Endymion card from the deck to the hand, and then you can place spell counters depending on how many that you have in your graveyard, or how many you control or have in your graveyard. So it's just really powerful being able to place multiple spell counters and giving you the search for your Endymion cards in the deck. Next, 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. We run a whole slew of darks in the deck, so it's really not a big deal getting this off. Again, more draw power, more spell counters. We run so many darks in the deck, it's not even funny. 2 copies of Pendulum Call. Pendulum Call is obviously to get out, you can grab your Harmonizing and any other Pendulum Magician monster from the deck. It also has a pretty sweet protection effect as well. 1 copy of Duelist Alliance here. This is to search out your pen call here. So this is just more spell counters, a little bit more searching power. Next, 1 copy of Into the Void. Again, just more search, more draw power, and more spell counters. You're going to be dumping your hand anyway, so if you're curious, like, why would you want to play this? You're going to have to discard your hand. You're going to be dumping your hand anyway. As you progress through your turn, you're going to be vomiting onto the board like crazy. So yeah, that's definitely why we're playing this in the deck. 1 copy of Upstart. Upstart is obviously, again, more draw power, more spell counters. Pot of Desires. I personally have a love-hate relationship with this card. I personally think you should run at least 1 copy in your deck. Next, 1 copy of Instant Fusion. This card is amazing. It sucks that it got limited, but I completely understand why it is limited, but it is an incredible card. It provides you with so much advantage, and just the protection of you being able to make sure your plays are going through. This is just an amazing card. Last in the main deck, 1 copy of Secret Village. This puts in a ton of work. Being able to pretty much stop your opponent from using spell cards is just absolutely clutch. All right, getting into the extra deck here. 1 copy of Daybreaker. He's essentially Breaker the Magical Warrior, but yeah, you just need to remove 2 spell counters from him to be able to pop cards on your opponent's side of the field. But yeah, I mean, you have to special summon to zones he points to, so he can come up in instances. But yeah, he's definitely a good solid 1-of in the deck. But the extra deck space is incredibly tight. I've almost even considered cutting him, but he is pretty good, and he does come up from time to time. It's definitely a solid 1-of in the extra deck, though. Next, 1 copy of Crowley. Crowley is obviously to search out your spellbook engine, so that way you can get that draw power that you're looking for. If you happen to not normal summon that turn, each turn you can normal summon 1 level 5 or higher spellcaster type monster without tributing. Next, 1 copy of Cross Sheet. This card is fucking amazing. I can't even tell you just how brilliant this card is, especially when you're linking away your Odd Eyes Absolute to go into Cross Sheep, and then bringing out the Odd Eyes Vortex, and then you can get the Millennium Eyes from the graveyard. It's just an incredible card. 1 copy of IP Masquerena. Masquerena is pretty self-explanatory, I think, for most people. Being able to provide that bit of interruption to use her as material to go into another Link monster, and then a Link monster that used this card as material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That 1 copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. Avermax is really, really awesome. He's really powerful in this deck, especially when you use IP to buff him. Sometimes he'll just win you the game flat out. He's just a massive card, and with IP, he just has too much protection. Next, Boral Sword. I'm not really going to dwell too much on this. It's obviously for the OTK potential. Next, the newest addition to the deck here, 2 copies of Celine. She is absolutely incredible in this deck. Like, just the amount of spell counters that she gains and the advantage that she can give you. She's a soft once per turn, so you can use her more than once. She's just really powerful. So and it's the perfect Link 3. You definitely run 2 because you can easily Link climb into another one and use her effect again. But yeah, being able to get like your Mighty Master out of the graveyard, or being able to use this in tandem with like Arcanite Magician, is just incredibly powerful. Just the advantage that she just gives you, the recursion that she gives you, and the revival effect she gives you from the graveyard is just so powerful. And it's really can't go underestimated, because this card is an absolute blowout, and that's why we run 2 copies here in the deck. Next, 1 copy of Appaloosa. Obviously, we're doing this for 60 negates. But yeah, no, she's obviously very, very powerful.
Next, 1 copy of Borreload Savage. So yeah, we go into level 8s very easily with Harmonizing, and obviously we're using multiple link monsters in a turn, so it's easy to get him out of the graveyard. He's just a really big negator, you know, it's hard to get him off the field. Next, Arcanite Magician. Arcanite Magician is a new one by comparison to my older profiles. This is a non-once per turn destruction effect by removing spell counters from your side of the field. In tandem with Celine, this is an absolute blowout. Your opponent is not going to be able to do anything, especially if they don't have any targeting protection. This will completely blow them out of the water and just completely destroy them. 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is fairly obvious, I think, just being able to lock your opponent out of using graveyard effects. Yeah, this is great against Shadal, Solomon Grape, Dinos even. It's just a really solid card. If you can make rank 4s, you can't go without Abyss Dweller in the deck, that's for sure. Next, we have Odd Eyes Absolute and Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Vortex, if you're already familiar, is just one of your negators. Odd Eyes Absolute leaves the field. You can special summon him from your extra deck. And the last card of the extra deck is obviously Millennium Eyes. Millennium Eyes being able to make sure your plays go through. All right, and then moving on into the side deck, we have 3 copies of Lava Golem. The only thing about it does eat your normal summon, but other than that, it's just a really solid card for, you know, non-targeting, non-destruction removal. 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. This is pretty self-explanatory for other combo decks that you're going up against, pretty much being able to shut them off. I have 3 copies of Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters, again, pretty self-explanatory, being able to provide some back row destruction and more spell counters. 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Obviously, the great equalizer. Telling your opponent to banish, you know, everything they have face down is obviously really, really, really powerful. 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier is now, I think, going to be better than ever. Now that we are in the new Master Rule, this card is an absolute blowout. I think this card is going to see a lot more play, so if you don't already have your playset now, I'd recommend picking it up ASAP. Now, this last card here is kind of a tech choice for me, and that is Mask of Restrict. Now, Mask of Restrict is pretty much, no matter what the situation, neither player can offer any monster as tribute. You can use this to make sure that your plays go through. So, and that's, it's kind of to make sure that your opponent's not going to just tribute off your Appaloosa or your Odd Eyes Vortex or your Borreload Savage or your Mighty Master. This is just, you run through the deck so much with draw cards, and that's why this card is almost easy to come by. But yeah, obviously you can fill this in with anything else that you might think might be prevalent, or what you think is the most optimal way to try and lock your opponent from being able to do certain things. You can also use something like Necro Valley. That was something else I was experimenting with as well. You know, pretty much turning the graveyard off for them. And there's a whole slew of other options, but this is just a personal tech choice I wanted to try out and kind of just see how it went. Alright guys, so that's the deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. I really do greatly appreciate it. And guys, I'll catch you next time. Later.